This is Dr. Anastasia Chopelas, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about quantum leaps and quantum healing and the quantum field and what is all that quantum about. And the other thing that happens is when you have a quantum leap, some of them stick and some of them don't. And I'm going to explain why that happens. So what the quantum world is everything. Right? It's everything. Everything that we are is actually quantum. We are made up of atoms, and the atoms are made up of electrons and protons and neutrons, and then those particles are made up of smaller particles and so on. And actually what they all are some frequency or some wave. Okay, so I think that most people understand that, and that when something is a frequency, it's actually an energy, because energy is directly proportional to frequency. That's just a really simple equation in physics. E equals a constant times the frequency. It's super duper simple. People are now talking about quantum healing. And what that all means, that they're reaching in to the quantum field. And what they really mean is that they're going into a new dimension. And that dimension is a dimension that has no time and no space. And the reason why it's so powerful is that this is exactly the way a quantum leap occurs. So the way a quantum leap occurs is that you don't see the path and it happens instantaneously. So that means that really there's no time and no space. And the way we perceive it in this world is if you were to try and follow an electron around and you were to take a series of pictures or even a movie, you would see it winking out of existence in one place and winking into existence somewhere else. And you wouldn't see how it got there, and the winking out and winking in would be simultaneous. The thing that's really interesting is that a lot of you are actually aware of how you can reach one to another. And you can even download a really simple app on your iPhone or your iPad or your Droid device. And it's basically measuring the frequency of your voice, for example. And what happens is that your voice comes out frequency, well, it comes out intensity versus time, right? So there's a time and there's a space, right? It comes out intensity versus time. And what these frequency analyzers do is they turn it around with a very simple mathematical construct, mathematical equation. It's called a Fourier transform. So you can look up Fourier transform frequency analyzer, and you'll find them. You can download them for free. And what they'll do is they'll transform it into frequency versus intensity. So frequency is simply information. It's information. There's no time component. So you'll just see frequency on the one graph, no time component. So I've asked a lot of people, can you imagine a dimension with no time and no space? And the answer is no, right? You cannot imagine it. That's not how our three-dimensional minds work. We can experience it in some way, but we can't imagine it. It's really difficult because imagining something that has no space and only contains information, it's kind of like a thumb drive, right? It occupies almost no space and it's just full of information. But if you think about it, if we are infinite beings, right? And I'm going to relate this back to healing, I promise. So if we are infinite beings and we are moving into that dimension when our physicality is no longer functioning, and we're infinite and there's no time on that side, then your spirit is already over there watching you have this experience. And not only this experience, but watching you in all time. And when you move at the speed of light, it's a similar experience. right? All space collapses into a point, and all you have is information. And there's no time and no space. All time collapses, all space collapses into a single point. And so the reason why I'm saying all of this is that a lot of people are talking about reaching into the quantum field, and all they really mean is they're transcending time and space. And that's the way that healing works. It goes from you to another person instantaneously. And really, while you're doing is you're not doing the healing, you're facilitating the healing. You are directing the energy into that other person as a healer, or into yourself if you are healing yourself, right? And I just did a show with Gwen Leopard, my radio co-host, and I talked about how you can heal yourself and why not only can you, but you must, right? So the question is, okay, so now if you change energy instantly on somebody and they are instantly healed from something, and there are some very powerful techniques that you can use. One of them is reconnection, and it can actually change things instantly on you. The problem is that 9 times out of 10, or even worse than that, even more than that, the healing will revert in 2 to 3 months. So the way our bodies work, the way we heal, is that it takes about 90 days for the energy to reroute itself. And the reason why it does that is that's how long habits take to form. And, it's the habits that are really important for healing. So if you have the same poopy thoughts all the time, I'm not good enough, I'm unhappy, I don't like my situation, I don't like my job, I don't like the way I look, I don't like the way I feel. If you have those same thoughts all the time, and somebody instantly heals you of whatever physical ailment you have, then what happens in that time is that the energy that's been reset on your body will slowly revert back to what you were. And then you'll find you'll look down and you go, oh, I thought this pain was gone. I thought this liver problem was gone. I thought this kidney problem was gone. I thought my asthma was gone, because you could breathe for 2 or 3 months really comfortably, and then it slowly reverts back to what it was before. And that's because all the rest of your energy in your body needs to be reprogrammed as well. And one of the things, like I've mentioned this many times on my broadcasts, is the daily habits that we do for ourselves that really changes things. Because I can wake up with poopy thoughts still running around in my head, even though I've been in the habit of not having those all day long. Like my normal mode of operation is to look forward and to be upbeat and to be excited about things. And then what will happen is that I'll wake up and I'll have a poopy thought. And what I do is a morning energetic clearing routine that gets me back into that state of looking forward and being positive. So it takes a lot of practice. And that's what those daily practices are about, the consistency and all of that. So consistently sleeping well, drinking your fluids or water, consistently eating well, consistently exercising, consistently moving your thoughts in the direction of positivity. So when people come to me to work with me, I always say I follow up with you for a minimum of 90 days. And the reason for that is this very same thing. It's all those things that happen. You may have a quantum leap and feel immediately better. And we've known this for over 100 years. A doctor actually started testing the extent of the energy field around embryos first, and found that the energy field was the size of an adult. And that makes no sense according to physics. If you have a little dot on the page, you should have a little tiny energy field. But no, it was the full extent of the adult, whatever it was, small animal, human being. And we've also known that when you inject, this was tested on animals, not humans, when you inject something sick like a cancer cell or some other disease cell, the energy field immediately shrinks. But it takes 90 days for it to stay shrunken, right? So by continuing the habits, bad habits of taking in toxins and doing things, your energy field will stay shrunken. So now imagine this. You push that energy field out and you recreate a healthy energy field on the body. And what happens is that the body then gets healthy and stays healthy, right? So that's why I follow up with people for a period of 90 days and longer sometimes. Because what I do every time is I measure the extent of their field, I measure the extent of the energy exchange with the outside, and I clean it up. I get people back aligned, deep breath, straighten up the spine, deep breath, breathe all the way down to your toes. That's a really good way of getting centered and in the moment. It's a mini meditation. It's very, very powerful. So that is where quantum leap isn't necessarily a good thing, but it can be, and you can make it permanent by continuing to operate as if you were as healthy as you were at the moment you had that quantum leap. It's like most learning is like that, right? If you're practicing, let's say you're a basketball player and you practice throwing it right, and then all of a sudden your body goes, oh, that's the way it's supposed to be. And from one day to the next, you can't miss. And it's the same thing if you're practicing a figure eight in roller skating or ice skating. You practice, and you're clumsy at first, then all of a sudden you get it. That's that quantum leap. And if you stop practicing, then you lose it. Just like with energy healing, and you continue to practice it, and it stays going really well. So that's all I have for today. I so appreciate you, and I hope today you have gained an understanding of what the quantum field is, how a quantum leap can be really helpful, and how it takes 90 days at least to really change your energy field to make that wonderful quantum leap permanent. Please help promote this video, share it with people that could use the help, give it a thumbs up or a 5-star rating. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next week, same time, same place, with fresh new content.